Wait another 30 seconds. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's Legal and Finance Committee meeting on July 13th. And first of all, if we can have a roll call and determination of quorum. Robin, please.
Armstrong?
Yes, here. Armstrong? Oh, I heard NORDSTROM. Nope.
Roseland?
I believe Laura is on the phone. Laura, are you still on the phone? She hasn't called in yet. Okay.
Nordstrom?
Here.
Solomon?
Here.
Jones?
Here.
And Evans.
Thank you.
We have a quorum.
The next item I'm sorry. The next item I have here is the adoption of the agenda. So moved. Motion by Evans, second by Jones. Those in favor? Those opposed, motion carries. Now it's time for the members of the public to discuss or express concerns to the council on any issue not on the agenda. Action will not be taken at this meeting on any issue that is not on the agenda except by placement on the agenda by a unanimous vote of the council members present. I did not receive any chits for public presentation, so we will move on and close public comment. Next item I have here is to go through the consent items, and what I'd like to do first is go through the different departments that have an item on today's agenda. And first of all is the mayor's item. We will have a presentation on Monday evening by Dustin Willett for that item.
Mr. Chair.
Hear that full item, yes.
Before we hear from the department directors, do we need to open and close public comment on consent items 1 through 15?
Okay.
Just to make sure that, I know you don't have one, but just
fair.
to keep it
Understand.
Keep it good.
Yep. Any public comments on items, on the consent items? I've seen none. I will close public comments. Thank you for the reminder. And then we'll move on to the fire department. Division Manager Long, you get to give us a short presentation on what's happening with this grant.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. This grant is $850,000 that has been allocated to us through the state. It started in Governor Noem's office, went through Department of Public Safety, became Senate Bill 51, went through the Appropriations Committee. We had a couple hearings on that. It's a $2 million assistance to South Dakota firefighting, kind of a statewide thing. $850,000 is for our training tower out here on the west side. There was right about $1 million that went to portable training burn trailers that could be towed around to different trainings throughout the state or fire schools or things like that. And then another about roughly $150,000 is going to be used for recruitment and retention of firefighters here in South Dakota. It did go through all the steps over in Pierre, was successful. Now we've got the appropriate documentation here, so we can make those, hopefully make those agreements and receive those funds.
Thank you. Moving on to Human Resources. Mr. Strout, have you got a couple of words for us?
Yes, thank you. Very briefly, what this is we were able to work with the City Attorney's Office and Carla specifically, and the lawyers for Gallagher Consulting to finalize the contract that was approved last month by this body. So now that we have the approved contract, we're seeking authorization to have it signed and move forward.
Thank you, Nick. Finance Department. Pauline, we've got several items from you today, so take it away if you please.
Thank you. Number 5, that's just standard to recognize our volunteers for work comp purposes. 6, this usually comes before you so that the new fees are effective July 1, but as always, and with the earlier short staffing in the finance department, it's coming for you now. These fees will be effective August 1. Most of them are being adjusted because of cost of doing business. I will point out in the past, and then all the parking stuff too is getting moved out from underneath finance and police and put under community planning or community development department. I used to have a clause per se underneath the parking permits where every year the fees will increase by CPI or 2%, whichever is greater, rounded up to the nearest dollar. I took it out of the information pertaining specifically to parking and actually have it as part of the resolution as a whole. That way, some of these will be an automatic increase unless otherwise determined by the council. So I wanted to point that one out because that is different than what we have done in the past. Number 7, this is, it's a long title for basically giving us authorization to sign the loan agreement with the state for an SRF loan. And this is a little over $1 million, or $100 million, excuse me. You guys actually authorized Public Works to apply for this along with a $45 million grant to do a new water treatment facility. And Stacy is also here from Public Works to talk about that if you have more questions. So 7 and 8 go together in that regard. Sorry, it's 43.5. I misspoke on the amount. 9, just cleanup assessments. 10, we have to, every year we do a report to you at the second meeting in July telling you how many liquor licenses the city could have based on the population. And with the census numbers coming out a little later than normal, this will also impact that. However, in the memo, you'll see that we are authorized additional video lottery license. I think that's this one. Yep, the video lottery licenses. That net process is now automatic, where we increase the number of malt beverage licenses with video lottery. So this is just advising you of that, and then I will go out and ask for applications on that. If you recall, last year when we did this, we talked about changing the ordinance to increase the fee and have it be automatic instead of the council having a motion to increase that number of malt beverage licenses with video lottery. So this is the first report you'll see with that. And then sales tax for May of 22 is actually up again, where we're at a little over, I think it said 9%, and I apologize I didn't bring that up, but.
Thank you. Civic Center, Mr. Baltzer, if you could give us a short presentation, or if you want to have Chris help us out, I'd appreciate it. And by the way, if you want to introduce Chris to the council, you're welcome to.
Certainly. This is Chris Catlett. He is our energy plant manager over there. And as you all know, our energy plant is jointly used by both the Civic Center and the high school across the street from us. And then we provide some monitoring services for other public venues around the area, including some schools. So it is more than just the Monuments energy plant. And that's what this agreement's about. This agreement, there used to be an agreement in existence a long time ago. I think it elapsed like 15 years ago or 20 years ago, long before I came here. The whole idea is that if we're going to have this partnership, there should be something written down. The agreement is very similar to the original agreement, and it's very similar to how we operate. There's one change in kind of creating an advisory committee that's going to meet on a regular basis to talk about energy plant things rather than the informal meetings that we have been having. But with that, it's just a way for us to work better with the schools who are also receiving services from this energy plant.
Thank you, Director Baltzer. And nice to meet you, Mr. Catlett. Thank you very much. Anything else you want to add on? at the moment. Well, otherwise, stand by for questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Community development. First up, we'll have Michelle Scholke give us a short presentation on the CDBG.
Thank you. Number 13 is seeking final approval of the reallocations of the CARES Act money for the CDBG program. We had $450,000 previously allocated to projects that did not proceed. We're seeking approval to reallocate that to new projects.
Thank you. As always, stand by for questions if any comes up. Thank you. And then Mr. Harrington, if you would.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item 14 is the 2023 to 2026 Transportation Improvement Program Draft Report. This is a compilation of all the highway projects throughout the metropolitan planning area, done by the different jurisdictions that are part of the MPO, including South Dakota Department of Transportation, City of Box Elder, City of Rapid City, Meade County Highway, and Pennington County Highway. This is the draft report. You will see the final in August. There may be some changes specifically to the SDDOT projects that are listed after their public input that will be taken tomorrow night at the statewide Transportation Improvement Program meeting here in Rapid City. That meeting is tomorrow night at 7 p.m. at the Ramkota Hotel. It's a great meeting where DOT will go through all their projects throughout the region in great detail and will take public feedback on all those projects. Again, this is a draft report. You will see the final in August once that DOT meeting is over and they have finalized all their projects. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Harrington. Moving on to City Attorney's Office, Carla Cushman, please.
This is an agreement with Central States Fair related to an award of vision funds that you all made earlier this year. The award was $980,000 for renovations to several buildings and barns on the fairground property. The agreement's similar to other ones that you've seen before that just kind of puts a framework for the work that will be done and the payment.
Very good. Now we'll move on to council members. If you have any questions for the staff. And first up, we'll have Councilman Solomon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Did you want us to pull items from the consent, or did you want to just talk?
If you've got any questions, go ahead, and then we'll do the polling after that, if you don't mind.
All right, sir, whatever you, just making sure I'm clear. Yep. First of all, item number 3, may I direct a question to the fire department?
You may. Mr. Long.
Mr. Long, my question, which is very common, with this grant, what strings are attached to this on behalf of the state to us?
Yes, Mr. Chair, can I?
Yes.
This has 0 strings attached to it. There's no matching funds. Everything is...
Conference will automatically end in 5 minutes.
I better speak fast. Yeah, it's basically the $850,000 is going to pay for this product, the actual tower for our training, and there's no matching funds or anything that we need to provide for this.
Okay. All right, thank you. And Mr. Chair, may I direct a question to Director Sumption regarding item 6?
You may.
Ms. Sumption, so, you know, I understand we have to make adjustments to fees. Can you talk to me a little bit about including this automatic adjustment each year of 2% or more? Why that's included?
So again, and there's also unless otherwise approved, so you'll always get a chance to change that if you, on a fee-by-fee basis. Basically, cost of doing our business has continually increased time over time. And when I started 15 years ago, there were some fees in place that at that time hadn't been raised for 25 years. They still haven't been raised. And the cost of administering those fees and those, whether they're licenses or whatever, has continued to increase, and so we are not covering our costs. The gap continues to get larger, and so this at least gives you a little minimum that would increase it, so that we can continue providing services and cover the costs that we need to cover.
Okay. I agree. Our fees should cover the actual costs, or else it's subsidized by the taxpayers in other ways. And I understand it would make life a lot easier to do it automatically, but I don't think I can just willy-nilly say it's automatic unless we make a change. What if the fee adjustment would be less than 2%? Maybe CPI one day, even though it's 9.1 nationally today, what if someday it's 1.4? You know what I mean? I think I'd rather take it on a year-by-year basis and have the fees reflect the actual cost, which we've done, and I've supported fee adjustments based on that. But I think putting a thing in here that makes it automatic, I'm not comfortable with that. So, you know, I'm not sure I can get on board with that aspect, even though I will get on board with that. I'm assuming that the fee adjustments in the rest of this resolution are covering those actual costs. And so I can support that, but I don't know if I want to make it automatic.
And I can respect that. I would ask, though, that if you choose to not include it at the top for an overall fee adjustment, that you do allow me to put it back in for the parking leases. Because that has been there in years past, for probably about the last.
Explain that parking leases one more time. And I know you gave an overview, but make sure I'm clear.
It was the parking permits, so whether it's the leased lot parking and the on-street parking permits would automatically be raised that little bit. Usually it's been $1 a year or $1 a month per year.
So why should we treat that differently than other fees?
It was approved before. That's all. The only reason why I'm asking is that you allowed me to put it back in to allow for that to continue to grow. So we can do projects within that parking lot fund. And I'm not in charge of that fund anymore, so perhaps Ms. Fisher would disagree with me, but that would just be my request.
It looks like Ms. Fisher probably would like to weigh in on the parking, so if I could give her the opportunity,
Sure.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair.
Fisher, please.
Thank you. We would support that. It should be put within the parking permit fee structure again. We are responsible for doing maintenance and upkeep on that parking area. The cost of it is increasing drastically year by year. And so as a part of our budget plan, we have assumed that you will be keeping in step with what was previously created, which is increasing that fee by the 2% amount. That money goes right back into that surface parking that's needed to serve the public.
Okay, and I think I could support that because the parking fees don't actually cover the entire cost of the parking.
Correct.
And so, but most of our fees, whether it's ambulatory services and, you know, rental fees, those sort of things, should reflect the actual cost, correct? I mean, that.
It should. We appreciate that position.
Unless we have decided that some things need to not be covered all the way, such as parking. Obviously, to have my parking permit go up by the actual cost, I won't afford to be able to pay for my parking permit, I'm sure. So I think I can go along with that simply because we are not actually covering the cost, but in general, fees should cover the costs. That's the aim that we're going for. And I just don't want to, so my hesitation is if we took the automatic 2% or greater, depending on CPI, out of there, I could support it. If we leave it in there, I'll be voting no. But I'm one council member, but I want to make that pretty clear. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. We'll go to Alderman Jones next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item number 10, if I may.
Please.
To Finance Director Sumption.
You may.
Thank you. Pauline, you said that you would be bringing forward information on whether or not there would be more malt beverage licenses available, which would allow then for more video lottery businesses. Is that correct?
That is what is attached. So we currently have 75 malt beverage licenses that are eligible for video lottery. Based on the population estimate from community planning, it would go to 77. So I would put out a notice for 2 additional malt beverage licenses with video lottery and go through the lottery process that I did previously to figure out who actually will get those licenses.
So do we currently have 75 that are inactive?
We have 75 of those, 4 are being held inactive. Now with these new ones, they are required to get them operational within a year.
I would toss out for our philosophical thought and perhaps some discussion sometime, simply because there are more available, does that mean we should make them available? Do we feel that Rapid City is saturated now with enough video lottery businesses, that we say, no, we're not going to offer anymore? Or do we offer as many as we have and let the chip fall where they may, so to speak? I think it's a philosophical discussion we need to have as to whether or not we want more video lottery businesses in our city, or do we believe we have enough now? And simply because we have the licenses, does that mean we have to offer them? So that's my discussion on item number 10. Thank you, Pauline.
Thank you.
My next item is number 12.
12?
Yeah.
Okay. You may, go ahead.
To the Civic Center Director, please.
Yes. If Mr. Balzer cares to handle this?
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Are we incurring any cost in managing this property and our involvement in this for the school district?
Certainly, but we do split the costs with our partner with the school. So, for example, Chris' salary is split between the two entities. All his staff is, all the expense maintenance of the building and its costs in gas supply and other materials is split between the two entities.
So it's a cost of doing business, basically, for us to operate the energy plant for the school?
Correct. Yes.
Do we charge the school anything for doing that?
Yes, the school pays for all of their share of all of the expenses, including Chris's salary.
So bottom line of it, we don't incur any extra costs? We don't subsidize it, in other words?
Right. We do not subsidize. We do not incur extra cost. We pay for our portion. They pay for their portion.
Right. That was the key thing there.
Yep.
And that's what I assumed to be true,
Yep.
but I wanted to make sure we had an actual answer on the record that
Right.
we don't subsidize that program.
Right.
Okay, thank you very much.
You bet.
And then I have one more, Chairman, if I may.
You may.
Thank you. For item number 15,
To the city attorneys?
yes,
Yes. Okay. You- go
this
ahead.
is the, may I continue, Chair? Thank you very much. For the Attorney's Office. This is the money that we approved in the vision process already. This is not new money, is that correct?
No, this was approved by the council in January, along with the other Vision Fund projects.
So this is simply the mechanism to transfer the money then to the Central States Fair?
That's correct.
That has to take place because we approved the vision money. Now this is the mechanism that allows that transfer to take place.
That's right.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Alderman. I will proceed to Alderman Evans.
I should have had Mr. Balzer's and his friend Chris stay up there because I have a question for them if you come back. And this is not really related to this, but since you're here, I do have a couple of information things for me so I know for the future. When I was with the schools for 40 years and we transferred everything all over to central control, I used to, and I don't know if I used to call Chris or somebody else if we had a problem at the auditorium and we needed fans on or whatnot. And the other night, the journey, it was hot and we wanted to get the air conditioning turned up. And I don't know, is that still something we can do as a city facility, call over there and have temperature regulation done? I don't think those guys, I think they called Troy, who manages it, and he got something done and things started to cool down later. Is that a sequence we can still pursue as people that use those facilities or not?
You can, but we don't monitor the journey. We don't have the journey on our
Okay,
system.
you don't have that one in your system, so
Right.
it's somebody else.
Yep.
Okay, that answers that question. And the other question I had, as you know, that we toured the new hospital out at Susan, and they also have the ice storage system that we so intelligently incorporated into our new design. Theirs, however, is located back by their loading docks, everything out of sight. And I've asked before, Mr. Balzer, about, is there something we can do to screen that system from, there it is lining 8th Street in public, and do we have any plans to put up some screening device, something, recreate that brick wall, that ventilated brick wall we had in order to not, well, like they say, if it ain't pretty, don't put it on the front porch. And I think we need to make it look as good as the rest of the building, because that isn't a $300 million entrance. So what do we have in the works for that?
Originally, and just in my opinion as well, to have the energy plant location where it's at is a little bit unfortunate. But of course, in 1977, when they were building things, they probably didn't expect the direction we would go in expansion of the facilities. With that being said, we originally on the original plans for the ICE plant incorporation into the energy plant, we originally planned a larger decorative wall to be there. It was literally a budget constraint. It was quite expensive. I think that's something that we can revisit going forward, finding the budgets to do it and handling that, yeah. I think that is something that I don't think anybody would disagree with. We did try to make it as pleasant as everything is neat and orderly and lined up. It doesn't look like a yard, you know, it looks nice, neat, and orderly. We did a pretty good job with that. But yeah, I mean, those tanks hanging out there aren't the best look. So, you know, a decorative wall or something would probably be better. But it was very expensive, and it was carved out.
Okay. Well, and I would like to compliment you guys. Finally, that spandrel panel wall is replaced on the south side of the theater. Done it in a way it looks very attractive, and I want to thank you for getting that taken care of because it finally looks good.
It was a long time coming, and our slow up obviously was COVID, contractors, and in fact, when we did go to bid on it for the third time, it was the first time we got anybody to bid on it, and that third time we only had one bidder. So it was difficult to get that done in the time that we had there. But yes.
Well, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Solomon, you're back in the queue. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. I had one more I was going to pull just to ask a question. Number 8, may I direct a question, Director Tech?
Director Tech?
Yes.
You may.
Director Tech, simple question, same one I give to the fire department regarding their grants. What kind of, are there any strings associated with this grant? Obviously, we're excited to have this done, but I'm curious what's required on our end.
Mr. Chair, if I may. That's a great question. This funding or grant that we received from the state is the same requirements that we have had with the state for years on SRF loans, any financial package. So there are not any special strings, if you will. So it's standard requirements for the grant that we would, like you say, with the multiple SRF loans that we've acquired over the years with them. So it's the same reporting that we always do with all of our funding packages with the state.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions from the council members? Seeing none, the standard procedure now is to go through these items and approve them, except if you, Alderman Solomon, you wanted to vote no on one item, so.
Well, I'll pull number 6 and I'll make a motion on it.
Okay. You may.
To approve the remainder.
I have a motion by Evans to approve the remainder. Second by Alderman Jones. Those in favor of the remainder of the items on the consent, except for item number 6, those say aye. Aye. Those opposed. Moving on to item number 6, approve the resolution number 2022 060, a resolution amending certain fees to be changed in the 2022 for various licenses, permits, and applications. Do I hear a motion? And yes, Alderman Solomon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I will make a motion to approve with the removal of the line on page 1, where it's noted in red, including an annual inflationary adjustment of July 1st for each year of 2%, or CPIU Midwestern region, whichever is greater, rounded up to the nearest dollar, unless otherwise approved. So if we remove that, I will approve the rest of this. So that's my motion.
Do I hear a second? Not hearing a second, the motion fails.
All right, it's worth a try.
Do I hear a, yes, I understand where you're going. The chair will recognize Alderman Jones.
Thank you, Chairman. I move that we approve item number 6 as presented. I believe that the built-in increases allows the Finance Office to conduct business in a more efficient manner and take better care of our finances and the costs of doing things by having those in there. That's what we hire them to do. That's what they're trained to do, and I think we need to allow them to do their job and not constrain them by reviewing it like that each year. Thank you.
Thank you.
No offense.
Director Fisher, are you still wanting to make a comment?
Mr. Chair, I believe that Councilman Jones' motion covers my concern, so thank you.
And we are ready for any other discussion. I'm not seeing anything else in the queue, so yeah, those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Those opposed? No. Motion carries with 1 no from Alderman Solomon, and that'll be coming up on Monday night's council meeting. Moving to item number 16, it has been, excuse me, let me back up just a little bit. We are now open to public comment for item number 16, and again, I do not have a chit for one of those comments, so we'll close public comment. And item number 16 has been requested to be tabled, so the chair will entertain a motion to table this item. Motion by Solomon to table, second by Jones. Having no discussion, those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Motion by Jones, second by Evans to adjourn. Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Thank you. We are adjourned.